that report from Stephen out of mainland China, fascinating, learning about sort of the scale of the event. But we'll zero in on Alibaba and where AI is or isn't making the difference. What's your assessment about where they stand in that market, which he just outlined is pretty chaotic at the moment?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. Second, as we look at Alibaba specifically, I would say that last year they were dipping their toe in the water, and this year they're in kind of up to their thigh as it relates to AI and the shopping experience. So starting at the very beginning, all the way through, right, their kind of the PDPs or the information behind all of the images on the website to what you've bought previously, so they serve up products you're more likely to purchase. But it's all AI driven, and it's highly personalized in a very short period of time, so that return rates are dropping, which is a positive because you're buying more of what you want. And it's also much easier to do the research you need and that you want to do in order to find the perfect gift for others or for yourself.
Deborah, we actually had some headlines out of China since we came on air. Xiaomi's single-day sales exceed 29 billion yuan, which, if my math's correct, is just slightly above $4 billion US. That's Xiaomi. What do you make of that number, and put Xiaomi's success in Singles Day into context of what you just told us about Alibaba?
Yeah, we've continued to hear from a lot of Western brands that their sales are exceeding expectations. And I think what they're learning from that is to think about how to bring some of those learnings back to the US. But this idea that the consumer can find and buy. And when you think about like Xiaomi, right, this idea that the consumer, and this was actually one of the probably key areas of interest, is that they call them like AI toys, but like AI toys have been one of the hottest categories, that and beauty. And so the Xiaomi numbers, I would say, probably are a little higher than we would have expected, but that's the trend that we're seeing, and we believe that'll continue to strengthen.
Xiaomi makes AI toys on wheels, cars, but also ones that you have in your hand. How much are you seeing at the moment the luxury perspective, though? Because Xiaomi's been hot on the heels of a Tesla, and everyone's thinking about the amount of market share that these local domestic players are now taking in the world of EV and, of course, phones, but relatively luxurious products to be spending on. Where do you see just general consumer appetite right now?
That's a great question, and we've done a lot of research on this. So what we're starting to see is I would say, a strengthening at the high end. But when it comes to, let's say, basic essentials, going back to this idea of research and how much easier it is to find product, consumers are, I would say, being increasingly frugal on everyday necessities and then looking to treat themselves. So I would say AI is helping them get smarter, but we are, I'd say, probably earlier than many people expected. We are starting to see a strengthening in the high end.
What are they buying in terms of AI wearables? And they're like, I'm seeing you're wearing an Oura Ring. There's lots of new competitors on the market here in the United States, but I can only imagine the raft of options you got to purchase over in China right now.
I mean, we're seeing really interesting things on the wearable side, like bracelets and pins and whatnot. Other kind of like even health sensing, body sensing. Can you find your mate depending on, right, the your kind of the electromagnetic field that you're like, it's really, really interesting in terms of how it really is their toys to make your life more fun, but also better. And I think going back to this idea around data from a healthcare perspective, that's increasingly important. And we're seeing it drive improved results for consumers as well.
The data sets that you're tracking, even from this year's event and prior years, if you've got any assessment of like the investment these companies have to make to get a payoff, like how committed they are to winning, what you've outlined very clearly is a bit of a scramble to get consumers who are making very conscious, proactive spending choices.
So therein lies that is like the question of the day, and one of the biggest differences between the Western consumer and the Chinese consumer is, this isn't like, you're clipping coupons. Well, I guess you're clipping them, but digital. And as we're seeing it go into the end of the Double 11 shopping season, how the couponing, right, it goes back to it's adjusting in real time. So if retailers and brands aren't seeing the desired outcomes, they're able to change it in real time, right? These aren't like marketing plans built out 6, 12, 18 weeks ahead of time. And therein is why I think we're going to see a much stronger Double 11 season than we have in the past. And those retailers, like Lululemon, is in the minds of the Chinese consumer. That's a local brand because they've really embraced this. And they did have to invest, of course, early on, but now they're reaping the rewards of that investment. And so that's like Lululemon and L'Oreal. Those are some just great examples of brands, right? So European brand, a US brand, or Canadian brand, technically, North American brand, of companies who have invested, and as a result, they're seeing outsized rewards.